Well, welcome back to the workshop. The Fokker D.VI is ready to hit the sky. Let's go over some numbers. So as you can see, I've been able to fully finish out the Fokker D.VI, and it turned out pretty good. There are some imperfections, which I'm okay with. Mostly I'm very pleased that I was able to use so much of this beautiful lozenge covered pattern covering. I think that some of those of you who have been in the hobby a while are that you know where this came from. This is old solar text that has been printed using an inkjet printer and subsequently applied with the iron-on glue. It works really well. You have to use a pretty high heat for it, but I did not have enough to do the fuselage. I was hoping I would, but I didn't. But that's okay. I decided to make use of remaining Oratex that I had for other places, which I think add a nice contrast white accent, and that's to the bottom. As you can see on the bottom, it's got a nice white contrast from the top. So visibility I don't think is going to be an issue. I think another thing worth noting is the red. The red is an iron-on film, and it's glossy, but I can always dull that down with like a matte clear coat. I do plan on doing some markings and dressing up the cowl a little bit if she proves flight worthy. Alright, so flight worthy, what does that mean in this case? The airplane weighs in at 9 pounds. That's with the battery, so that's all up weight. Part of that reason is because of the heavier covering that I particularly used on the tail with the Solartex on the tail as well as the Oratex. It's quite a bit heavier than the film covering, and all of that weight does add up. Before I covered it, I did check CG with the battery and the motor mounted and everything, and the CG was honestly about right. But again, all of that weight in the back end, it piles up quickly, and I knew this was going to be a problem, so there's a huge chunk of lead right behind the motor. It's hidden under the cowl, so it's out of the way, it's secure, but it's a substantial chunk. So with that though, you know, 9 pounds, that's about 3 pounds heavier than what I had found online recommended flying weight for this model, again using the Wayback Machine, the Internet Archive. So you know, even though it's 9 pounds, when I add up the wing area, it's still about 21 ounces per foot squared. So that's pretty decent wing loading. It's not great. It's not going to be a super floaty airplane. I'm going to have to fly it, and frankly, that's kind of the experience that you want anytime you get into a World War I model. The estimated stall speed is probably going to be around the 20 mile per hour range. So again, kind of going to have to land it a little bit hot. It's kind of expected given how heavy it is. And with the prop and motor combination, I should be good for around 900 watts. Motor's rated for around 800, but I know this motor very well. It can handle short bursts, and honestly, I'm not going to be flying at wide open throttle all the time. It'll probably be somewhere around 60 to 70%, which is roughly in where the efficiency is going to be the best. I'm using a 4,000 milliamp, 5,000 milliamp hour 4-cell battery, and that's all the way up front, and should give me about 5-6 minutes of flight time. First flight, probably going to be tomorrow. I went ahead and did the center of gravity check on it. So with biplanes, there are a number of different ways that you can go about checking your center of gravity. I'll put a link in the description below to an article from Model Airplane News that is a great reference for checking center of gravity on biplanes, because there's lots of different wing formats that can make things a little bit confusing. Those methods work. They're a little bit more complicated. My method gets you about in the right area, and I did both the complicated way and my simple way, and they're the same. So what I do is I take the thrust line, looking at the airplane, you can look at the thrust line and I get that level. So I prop up the tail until the thrust line is level. And then I take a square and I measure straight up from the table surface to the top of the wing from the leading edge of the bottom wing. Doing this, it's worked in the past. It's worked on a Kyosho Pitts biplane that I had. It works on the Curtiss P6E Hawk, the Great Plains one that I have. It's worked on 2 other World War I biplanes that I've had in the past. SE-5A, and that was an RC version of a control line plan, and also the Aerodrome RC 012 Melissa. So it's just been a long time. I had to do a sanity check with a couple of my buddies online, and yeah, pretty much you can go one way or the other, but again, I got the center of gravity. Both the complicated way and the easy way are telling me the exact same location, and it's looking good. So flying this model is going to take place probably tomorrow. The winds look good. Looks like it's going to be hot, but the winds don't look like they're going to be too terribly awful. If they are, it might be a slight crosswind. Kind of don't care. Really, this airplane is about the experience. It's going to be a handful. I'm going to be shaking when I'm done. And it's going to be a fun experience. It's been so long since I've had a World War I model. And you know, I've not had great luck recently. For those of you following me on Instagram, I had 2 airplane crashes last weekend. 2 models in one weekend. And I'm going to get more into that in the next episode. So until then, I am going to go out and fly this work of art, and I'm going to report back later on it. Hopefully it's good news, and I hope this finds you very well suited and excited to challenge yourself to your next flying work of art.